last year.
I think a lot of fans were hoping for that.
Yeah.
But just like with a lot of coaches nowadays where they say they've changed, they've looked at analytics, they looked at previous coaches, they try and develop their schemes more. I just don't really know, how many coaches actually do that. I think they just kind of get their game plan. And it's not like Mike Bobo was a terrible coordinator here, so he's probably thinking in his head, it worked for the most part 10 years ago. Why would it not still work if we still have the best recruits? And now we arguably have better recruits than we did back then anyway. So I think his philosophy probably stays the same as far as his offensive scheme and lots of runs up the middle, lots of quick out passes like you were saying, Bryce, screens and stuff for Carson Beck, especially these first two games, just to get the offense going, just to make sure he's comfortable.
A lot of guys involved.
Yeah, I think it builds connection.
Get all of the new people, like you were about to say, connected and on the same wavelength. Gunter, about Carson Beck, he was 23 for 30, 283 yards and 2 TDs. Had the one pick that kind of went off the dude's hands, I think, something like that. It wasn't his fault. He said after the game in the interview with Alyssa Lang on SEC Network that to him, he was more relaxed, more comfortable compared to the first game where he had some nerves. Makes sense. First start for the Dogs in Sanford Stadium last weekend. And the coaches as well said that they thought the offense looked smoother. So despite the 0-point first quarter, which was I think was a little bit frustrating, especially for people that went to the game in the stadium at a noon game against a lower competition, what did you make of Carson Beck's performance specifically in these first 2 weeks, and how do you think that offense is flowing now, like we just spoken about, under Mike Bobo? Yeah, Katie, I mean, just being at the game, you could feel it, whether it was just confidence kind of in the offense. They were driving really smoothly. Carson Beck, Mike Bobo had a really good game plan. Even the rushing game, came back this week. Edwards, 15 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Kendall Milton, got 13 carries. Only had 55 yards, but the 1 touchdown. He had some big runs for the small yardage gains that got those first downs. How good was it just to see, like, the offense flowing without our best player, Brock Bowers, and coming into the game where media surrounding the game was talking about how it might take a step back without Brock Bowers, but really almost looked like it took a step forward. And, we were able to see plenty of other players, wide receivers especially, get the ball and do their job. Keeping it in Atlanta, but moving over to soccer here on 60 at 6, your Monday hour-long sports show on 90.5 WUOG. Atlanta United playoff game tomorrow night. I'm going to go to it, be in attendance, so they better play well because I'm not paying a lot of money to go watch the team lose and their season to finish out like playing 2 poor games, because let me tell you, that first game last week, 2-0 loss in Columbus to the Columbus Crew, was a really bad performance. And I know you guys don't follow it, so I'm just going to talk about it here for like 1 or 2 minutes before moving back here to Athens. But it's really just not a fun game to watch from an Atlanta United perspective. We had 1 shot overall. Gonzalo Pineda, the head coach, went 5 in the back, so we had like a 5-3-2 formation going on. And it was basically just to park the bus, kind of hope for a counterattack chance, which never came. Columbus basically dominated the whole game, and 45th minute had a penalty, and then just as the game wore on, they just kept attacking and added the second one into the second half. Could have been a lot worse than 2-0 in my opinion. But, the defense held strong for the most part, hoping the offense could do something. But without Tego Almeida, who comes back tomorrow night, which I think is important for the attacking prowess of Atlanta United, in Columbus, just really couldn't get anything going. Like I mentioned, must-win game for Atlanta United tomorrow, or the season's over. And then if they do win, goes back to Columbus in a couple days from now for a Game 3 in the best 2 out of 3 series that MLS has going on this season. That is true, where there's definitely a couple teams that have bad defenses, but I would lean towards the fact that Ole Miss has Lane Kiffin as a head coach, so he doesn't play defense. Same with USC, Southern California. It's like Lincoln Riley. They just don't have a defense. Like, they'll win games 65-57. It's like
Big 12 style.
Yeah, it's like Big 12, Pac-12. They just don't really play that great of defense over there. And then who was to say Tennessee? Yeah, Josh Heupel. He also never recruits defense. So I think with that question, he has the point is there, or that they have a point, and it's just depending on the coach really, because you have like Kirby Smart, who's a defensive guy, the majority of our 4- and 5-star recruits are defensive and then like offensive line, and then he just kind of like sprinkles the 3 stars and the walk-ons on offense and somehow manages to win national championships with it. So fair play to Kirby for that. But you have coaches like Lane Kiffin and Josh Heupel who say, let me get that 5-star quarterback and the 2 5-star wide receivers, and then they try and go from there with it, and so they don't really focus on defense. So I think it's just a different coaching style and different method of trying to play football, I think, is what attributes to some of the teams in the SEC not having great defenses.
Yeah.
Katie, though, Bryce spoke on it with Muse and the 69-yard punt return, which really got the scoring started for Georgia. He's another UGA walk-on, and we can spend a little bit of time on this depending on if anyone pops in y'all's heads. But Kirby and the staff have been really good at developing talent the past couple years where, we have plenty of 4- and 5-star recruits, but a lot of the players, even like A.D. Mitchell at Texas now with a 3-star recruit that came in. And so, you can speak on him also. But a lot of walk-ons and lower-star recruited players have been able to shine here at UGA the past 2 or 3 years, winning national championships, even Jordan Davis was a 3-star recruit. Why do you think Kirby can bring out the best in those players, or what do you think it is about Georgia's coaching staff that allows those players that aren't 4- and 5-stars to really develop here compared to at some places like Texas A&M, even where they have all the talent, they can't put it together? But, keeping it with soccer, but we'll move it back here to Athens now. In much more exciting news, Georgia soccer won the SEC tournament yesterday with a 1-0 win over Arkansas, the first SEC title in the program history, won the SEC East, and then going on to win the overall SEC, which allows them to host a NCAA tournament game, which they will host Liberty in the first round later this week. The time has not been announced yet, but it should be sometime Friday afternoon. There was an own goal in the 7th minute off a Mally McKenzie cross into the box, and that's all that Georgia needed to hang on for the conference title. The defense held strong. Jordan Brown had 7 saves and a few key ones in the second half, a diving save in the 61st minute, and then another rebounded shot in the 68th, which really Arkansas should have scored, but Brown was there, and the defense held on. They got outshot something like 18-7 in the match, so Arkansas really just blew a couple chances. But Kadani McAlpine, only second season, already turned the program around. Last year led the team to the NCAA tournament with a good overall record, and then this year even better, now winning the SEC tournament for the first time in program history. You think now with how the Lions played it, where they kind of stack the box, make sure you can't run it, and you're going to be forced to pass and make Ritter throw the ball 38 times, where other teams now can just game plan against the Falcons like that, because like Katie was saying, they're super run heavy with Bijan and just the sweeps around the back and making it to where Ritter doesn't have to do as much. But if teams are stacking the box to where Bijan can't get going and you can't just runs up the middle, runs out wide to try and spread the defensive line out, they're going to have to rely on Ritter, and it'll just be interesting to see how other teams maybe implement what Detroit did and, basically stuff the line to where Ritter's going to have to beat them. Postseason, I can actually sit down and watch because I'm not going to sit down and be like, I have no idea when this game finishes, which, I guess technically you still don't. There's no, time limit because the innings can go forever, but at least it goes a little bit quicker for the below average baseball fan. So, but the postseason always is entertaining, and it'll be interesting to see how the Braves do, see if they can, win another World Series. But that is all from us here on 60 at 6, your hour-long sports show here on 90.5 WUOG. For myself, Clay Witt, Gunter Shorter, Katie Carlson, and Bryce Mandala, we hope to see you back here next week.